Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to configure MSI Afterburner and Rivatuner to make my on-screen display that you see in every benchmark video that I make. Let's get to it, shall we? First things first, you gotta install MSI Afterburner, of course. Just Google it, and you can download it from here, the MSI.com website. Unfortunately, though, I like to install the beta one because this works with Battlefield titles, and this one doesn't. But it doesn't do anything. So instead of downloading it from the MSI.com website, I will be downloading it from the Guru 3D. This is also a trustworthy source as well. So I'm gonna go over here, download the stable beta version of it, and here we have it. We downloaded this folder right here. I'm gonna install the program right now, run it. Well, you know how to install programs, I think, so I'm just gonna speed through this part, okay? Now it will also ask you to install Rivatuner, which we definitely want, of course. Well, I have it already installed. I just uninstalled Afterburner, forgot about Rivatuner, but I'll click yes and install it anyways. Let's go. And finally, everything should be up and running and installed, as you can see. Now I will run MSI Afterburner and it will look like this. So right away we can see that it doesn't look like my Afterburner version, and a lot of people ask me why I use an older version of MSI Afterburner. It's not an older version, it's just a skin. You go over here to the user interface and select the V3 Big Edition right here, and this is how I like to see my Afterburner, as well as with 150% scaling down here. You can adjust the core clocks, the memory clocks, the fan speed all over here, power limit as well, and you have useful information here on the right. Now, after this is done, I like to go here to the benchmark section, select a key to start benchmarking and a key to stop benchmarking. In this case, it's page up and page down right here on my keyboard. Let's apply that, and now on the general tab right here, I like to enable the unified GPU utilization if you have an AMD GPU. It won't be grayed out with an AMD card, and usually if you don't do this, the usages from your AMD GPU won't be as accurate, okay? Anyway, I also like to start it with Windows, but well, that's up to you, of course. And now let's go to the monitoring tab right here. This is where you will select everything that you want to showcase on your on-screen display, and I also like to select 500 milliseconds right here. This is just how often your on-screen display will refresh, basically. And well, let's start with GPU utilization, GPU temperatures. They're right here, show on-screen display, and then memory usage. This is the VRAM allocation here. Scrolling down, I also like to include core clock, of course. The memory clock isn't as important. It's always at the same value, so it doesn't really matter, you know. I don't like to include it in my own on-screen display. The power utilization, I like that, yes. Fan speed, well, I don't use it. It just becomes too cluttered in my opinion. CPU usage and CPU temperatures are also very important, of course, so I'll enable those. I will skip all of the individual core utilizations and temperatures, you know, and the clock speeds as well, because it just becomes way too cluttered once again if I include all of that. Let's use CPU power as well, RAM allocation here, or usage, and then we also need the frame rate, which will show us our FPS, of course, frame rate averages, which will show up whenever we hit the page up button that I set in the little benchmark tab over there, and then I like to include the 1% lows as well. This is basically it, you know. We got all of the information, almost, that we need for my on-screen display, and now we're running GTA 5 over here with the on-screen display. As you can see, it's very tiny still, but I will show you how to make it a bit bigger. Yeah, that's what she said. And to have the on-screen display showing up, you need to have MSI Afterburner opened, as well as Rivatuner right here. Now, this doesn't look anywhere near as good, in my opinion at least, as my usual on-screen display, so let's start changing that a little bit here, starting with, what the hell are you doing? The Rivatuner over here. So I'm just gonna set this to high, this to stealth mode. Some games will only work if you have these settings enabled. disabled. And I'm also going to make it a little bit bigger just by turning this up over here. Yeah, that's way more visible right now, right? I also like to enable the on-screen display fill right here. So we have this little rectangle on the background, and it makes everything easier to see, of course. And over on the raster 3D, you want to click that little arrow over there, and then you'll be able to change the font. I like the Marlet font over here, and this is what I use for all of my videos in bold. The size, I'll keep it on 5 as well, and just resize it with this when I need to. Also, I like to have a little gap between the window of the game and the actual on-screen display, so I'm just gonna set this to 7, which is the number that I always use, and now you can see there's a little gap over there. I guess for showcasing purposes, I'm just gonna set it to 2020 over there, so it's more noticeable. And okay, this is it. Very simple, right? We don't need to touch the Rivatuner stuff anymore. So let's go back to the MSI Afterburner over here. Let's go to the settings again and monitoring tab. And now I'm just gonna rearrange things. I like to have GPU usage on top, GPU temperature after it, then the power, then the core clock, and then the VRAM usages. I'm gonna do the same thing for the CPU usage, CPU temperature. Where is the clock and the power? There we go, RAM as well. And now I'm gonna grab all of them and put them up here as well. This way it's a bit more organized, as you can see, and it will also show up in this order over in the Afterburner V3 skin on the right over here. Now, I will disable everything that we don't need, because I don't know if it makes a difference to FPS or anything, but I usually do this, okay? So I'm just gonna select all of it, and I'll just disable them by clicking that button. This one is not important either, and that's it. Okay, let's apply that. Now, let's select the colors of the on-screen display. Next, you just need to click this little button right here with the 3 dots, and I will change the GPU to this brighter green. I like it a little bit better. Apply it. Look at that. GPU statistics are now bright green. The color one is the CPU, so I'm just gonna select the orange color right here because it's an AMD Ryzen CPU. The system color 0 is these numbers, the values basically of everything. I like to keep it on yellow here. There we go. Starting to look a little bit better in my opinion. And then the color 2 right here, I like to keep it in this bright green, which is a little bit different than the GPU green, okay? You can see the hexadecimal numbers right here. And then the color 3, I like to set it to gray. Okay, and this will be FF808080. This will be very important for later, but I'm just gonna keep it there right now. So I'm just gonna apply all of that, click OK, and there we go. Next up, let's name all of these little individual values. So GPU usage right here, I will click override group name and just type GTX 980 Ti, which is what we're utilizing here today. So now the GPU usage is not in the same line as the other GPU statistics anymore, and that's how I like to have it, okay? GPU temperature, I'm just gonna select this again, type temp right there, and now we have the temperature below GTX 980 Ti. Then we have the power over here, and I will just type power, of course, and there we go. We got the power, core clock, type clock, apply, there we go, and now the VRAM over here. I'm just gonna type VRAM, there we go, and it's there. Now the CPU utilization, the one that we're testing here today, or the CPU that we're using here today, is a Ryzen 5 3600X, so I'm just gonna type 3600X right there, and now we got the usages. And now I'll do the exact same thing as I did for the GPU. Okay, so it's gaining a bit of shape right now, right? It's almost nighttime, actually. It's taking a while. Now, I will start counting our FPS so we can take a look at that as well. It looks pretty bad, right? Because we got a huge square right now. Half of it doesn't have anything. It's empty. So I'm just gonna fix that by going to the settings here, once again, monitoring tab, and scrolling down to the frame rate averages, and the 1% lows. Actually, it's a little bit weird, okay? Also, I forgot, but we also will enable frame times as well and show on-screen display with the graph, not with the text, but that's very important, of course. I'll apply it, and now we have a frame time graph as well. And now I'll select frame rate right here, type FPS, okay? There we go. Then the frame rate averages, I will just type average, like so. Frame rate 1% lows, I will do 1%, like so. And that's it. Now we don't have the huge, well, now we do have the huge rectangle because of the frame time, but not because of the 1% lows and the averages. Now, to fix the frame time graph and make it a little bit smaller, I'm going to go here to these little dots again, scroll down to the width of the graph, and select 6. I like to have it on 6. Well, maybe today it's a little bit bigger. Oh yeah, it's because I included GTX over there, but we'll fix that in just a little bit, okay? I'll keep this on 6 right here. Next up, let's separate the GPU, CPU, and FPS numbers. For that, I will go over to the CPU usage over here and type -N like that, and this will make that little gap that you see in my videos. It makes things more pleasing to take a look at, you know. I'm also going to do that for the FPS. There we go. It's starting to look very good, isn't it? And I also like to have all of these statistics a little bit smaller than the actual GPU and CPU utilizations. For that, I will be selecting GPU temperature right here and typing this. Okay, S equals 80 temp, and I will copy this and paste it in the power as well. You can already see things changing there, the size of those letters. Here we go, and there it is. I'll also do this for the CPU temperature, power, and so on. And there we go. Now it's a little bit easier to see the GPU usages and bottlenecking scenarios and so on whenever GPU isn't maxed out, like right now, actually, I guess. And next, let's fix the GTX 980 Ti, which is a bit too big compared to all the other things, to tidy things up once again. So I'm gonna go ahead and type Nvidia GeForce GTX 980 Ti. Okay, this is what we have now. I want to keep all of this, but in this little size, okay? So for that, I will go over here and type S equals 50, and then if I apply it, you can see that everything becomes very, very small, but that's not what we want, of course. We want the 980 Ti part to be big, so I'm just gonna type S equals 100 there, okay? And now we have NVIDIA GeForce GTX, very small, and 980 Ti, very big. But it still looks pretty bad, obviously, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do the little -N thingy once again to add a little space there, and look at that. It looks beautiful now. Now, the thing is, I don't like this to be the same color as this, okay? I like the 980 Ti to be more emphasized. So I will go back here behind the NVIDIA GeForce GTX part and type the C equals FF 808080. Remember that? That's the gray quality in hexadecimal, and now everything became gray. Now, I want the 980 Ti to be green, so I'm just going to go here, see the color of the 980 Ti, it's FF00FF40, and I will go behind the 980 Ti part over here and type C equals FF00FF40. Apply that. And now we have it beautiful. NVIDIA GeForce GTX there, 980 Ti there, everything looking very, very neat indeed, in my opinion. I'm proud of this thing. Anyway, next up, I will do exactly the same thing to the CPU usage part of it. Also, the 980 Ti fits there pretty well, even without the Ti being small. But if you have, for example, a 4070 Ti and you type 4070 Ti right there, you can see that the square or the rectangle becomes bigger because of it. So in this case, I like to make the Ti smaller. And for that, just do it once again like this, S equals 50, apply. You can see the Ti is now very small, and the percentages are also very small, which is bad, of course. Now we can't see anything, so you just gotta type S equals 100 again without anything on the front, and then the percentile will be big again. Now let's go do the same thing to the CPU right here, which has a -N already, but this time it's going to be a little bit different, because if we add the little S equals 50 with AMD Ryzen 5, and now S equals 100, for this to be big again, you know. And also if we add the -N behind the 3600X, you can see that this is a little bit too big of a space. I don't like it, so I'm gonna fix that, okay? And instead of putting this little -N behind the S equals 50, I'm just gonna cut it and put it over here. And now it should be a little bit smaller, as you can see. It looks a little bit better, in my opinion, this way. And now let's make the AMD Ryzen gray again. FF equals 80, 80, 80. And I'll need the 3600X part to be orange. So FFFF 80, 00. Here we go. C equals FFFF 80, 00, or 8000. There we go. Now we got a very beautiful CPU showcasing with AMD Ryzen 5 on top and the 3600X. The X is still a little bit too big, so I'm gonna make it smaller as well just by doing this. Once again, S equals 50. And well, guys, I just noticed that we're almost done with this, actually. The only thing left to do is make the FPS numbers a little bit of a different color, as well as add the API that we're utilizing on top of the FPS right there, like we did with the AMD Ryzen 5 and so on, but this will be dynamic, of course, because all of the games have different APIs. Well, not all of them, but you get it, right? So I'm going to scroll down here to the frame rate stuff, and instead of just using -N FPS, is this dash, by the way? I think it's dash, right? Or is dash this one? I don't know. Slash. This is slash over here. Yes, I just remembered. Everything is wrong in this vid. I'm so sorry. Now, to add the API, all you gotta do is type app, like so, over here. And now if I apply it, you can see that it shows up D3D11 because the game is running in DirectX 11. Now, I want to have it on top of the FPS over there, so I'm just gonna add it right there. Okay, and I want to make it smaller, of course. So I'm just gonna type all the way over here on the left, S equals 50. There we go. And now everything is very small, so we gotta make the FPS over here a little bit bigger. So I'll type S equals 100. There it is. Now we got a small D3D11 and big FPS, and you already know what to do to make the FPS number go down. You just add a little /N over there, and there we go. Now it's beautiful. But I also want to make it gray as well, so I'm gonna go back to the beginning of this line over here and set the color. C equals FF 80, 80, 80. There we go. Now everything is gray once again, and now we need to make the FPS number green again. But remember, this was a different green to the GPU green. This one is FF00, FF00. So I'm gonna type that, and there we go. Beautiful, isn't it? Now let's change the average and 1% low colors over there, because I don't like it to have the same color as the FPS there, because these aren't the actual FPS that we're getting at the moment. It's easier if this is white and this is gray, in my opinion. So let's go over to the monitoring tab once again. And for that, you'll want to click the three dots over here once again, scroll down to the value color, okay? And on the averages, I will select FF808080 over there. And now you can see that the value is grayed out. Well, it's just gray, you know. The 1% lows, I'm going to do that the same. Yep, there we go, gray. And now the FPS are still all white. I don't like that. I like to have them green. So on the averages, I'll select the green over here. There we go. 1% lows as well, apply, and the frame rate as well, apply, and now it's beautiful. I think that's about it for this one, actually. We have completed my on-screen display successfully. I remembered every step of the way because I do this very, very often, okay? But you guys, if you don't want to go over all of it like I did over here, explaining everything and stuff, I'll leave a link down below with the file that you'll want to replace on your MSI Afterburner. Also, all you need to do with that file is download it. It's a folder with these two files in it, and just put the profiles folder inside of the MSI Afterburner folder, which is inside of program files x86, replace files in destination, continue, and that's it. The next time that you'll open MSI Afterburner, it will have all of my settings in it. You will need probably to change these GPU name and CPU name and so on, because, well, otherwise it will say 980 Ti and 3600X, but that's it. And by the way, this is locked to 63 frames per second. I didn't really notice it. It's probably VSync that's enabled. Of course, for benchmarking purposes, you always want to disable VSync. I'm gonna start counting our FPS by clicking that page up button, and now we have everything counting and looking great at the same time, very organized. I mean, I put hours and hours into this on-screen display. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. I think it looks very, very nice indeed. Feel free to add more stuff if you want to, of course. Other metrics like fan speeds and so on. Okay, I need a new car right now to see Jack. Let's go. This is it right here. This one is great. It's probably enough to climb that hill. And Jack is actually here. Hello, Jack. How you going, buddy? Ah, this is perfect. This is the perfect on-screen display video. I'm sorry if it was a bit confusing or something, but again, I'll leave the actual link to the settings down below. Thanks so much for 500,000 subscribers. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.